Hey everybody, Matt Shaza. It's Thursday, so it's time for the hiking report. Hey, it's Thanksgiving, so this will be kind of a short report. I'm just going to quickly go over all the stoves that I've got. On the far left is an MSR Dragonfly, a good stove, multi-fuel, relatively light. It's got a pretty good reputation. In the middle, behind that little bottle of alcohol, is an MSR, what do they call that? XGK. It's a nice expedition stove. It's got a preheater for the fuel, a little bit more compact, and we'll see about the weight. Next is an antique. That was my first hiking stove. I think it's an Optimus Svea or Svea Optimus. Really old stove. That was the state-of-the-art back in the 70s. Actually still a pretty decent stove. And that little tiny can right there is, of course, the Supercat alcohol stove. Okay, first up on the weight test is the Supercat. It's a homemade stove, alcohol stove, weighing in at 6 grams. And at 28 grams per ounce, more or less, that's about 1/4 of an ounce. Your MSR Dragonfly coming in at 333 grams, 11 3/4 ounces. Your XGK coming in at 305 grams, 10 3/4 ounces. The Antique Svea comes in at 444 grams, 15 3/4 ounces. Okay, that's just the stoves themselves. Now let's take a look at the other stuff you need, not including the fuel. Sort of an as packed weight. Okay, first up is the Dragonfly. Now as packed is in the bag and with the pump. That comes in at 413 grams, 14 5/8 ounces. So still a little bit lighter than the Optimus. The XGK comes in at 393 grams, 13 7/8 ounces. And the old Optimus, 466 grams, which puts it at 1 pound, 3 1/8 of an ounce. A word about fuel. The alcohol for the Supercat doesn't burn as efficiently as the white gas does for the MSRs and for the Svea. So you'll need more of that. So while the stove is lighter, you're going to be carrying more fuel. The white gas, for each of your stoves, you really need to figure out what the burn time is per fluid ounce. Let's take a look at each of these stoves closer up. Supercat is as simple as it gets. It's a cat food can with holes in it. Try several different configurations until you get something that burns well. The Dragonfly, it's a self-priming stove. As we said, it's relatively light, has built-in pot holders that are a pretty nice size. So a nice little stove. The XGK, built-in pot holders, a little bit smaller, so stability is a little bit more of an issue with this stove. It does have the preheat coil for the fuel, so the fuel passes through there before it goes to the burner, which helps it basically burn quicker, faster. The Optimus, like I say, this is a antique stove. I've had this thing for 30 years. This is not a self-priming stove, so this one you need to pour a little bit of fuel down into that depression there, and then you need to light it to prime the stove. So the problem with the Optimus is you got to pour that fuel in there for priming. It tends to spill over, so I think there's more of a fire hazard with this stove. And you can see the key gets pretty close to the fire there. So also, if you don't get enough fuel in there, it won't build up the pressure to prime, and you end up having to do it again. There we go, we've got it. So let's do a burn time. Okay, we'll check our boil time with 1 cup of water on the Optimus. Okay, we've got a rolling boil right around 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Not bad for a 30-year-old stove. Now this thing gets hot down in here, and you almost have to touch it to turn it off. So again, another drawback of the older stoves. You can tell this baby's cooking. Okay, there you go. Rolling boil right at 2 minutes. Okay, that's the Dragonfly. Right around 210. Okay, the Super Cat finally started boiling. Right around 750.